what do you think is the future of, let's talk about the online auction space first. Who do you think has an edge? What do you think? Do you think that market is oversaturated? I feel like that's maybe an easy question, but
yeah, I think that, in 2024, it's easy for us to look back and if we look back right now into pre-COVID era, right? Mm-hmm. Bring a Trailer was really the only one. There was some auction companies that wanted you to physically come to their sale. It was an event. You need to be there. You can't bid. Right? Some of them still charge a premium for online or phone bidding. You get a discount if you're in the room, right?
Yep.
And so pre-COVID, the idea of selling $100,000 plus cars online and only giving people 7 days in order to look at them, perform their due diligence, and decide how much they're going to bid was, out of the question. And now, fast forward to 2024, they being Bring a Trailer, absolutely are dominant in terms of online sales. And the auction companies are all, to varying degrees, doing a good job or not so good of a job in catching up to that. Some auctions are still very much, it's a better experience if you're there in the room. My stance on this has never changed. I don't like buying cars sight unseen, and sight unseen, in my opinion, is still, regardless of the wisdom found in the peanut gallery, right? The online commenters, I want to see it, or somebody that I know needs to see it, and so I'll call somebody like yourself, right? If we can't be there, and you've looked at cars for us before, you've been our eyes and our ears, and so. Somebody like yourself is very valuable to us, and that number one, I know I can trust you. Number two, you know what you're looking at. That's
but in some sense, the 7 days of an auction is longer than the time you have for a physical auction, right? Because in a physical auction, so sure, you get the catalog a month in advance. You know what the car is. You can contact the specialist. You can do your research. But you can't fly out to their facility and see it. You can't have a pre-purchase inspection done. Maybe you can. Okay, I'll let you. He's giving me the eye. But if you go to the auction, you've got a day or a couple hours to go through it, especially if you're looking at multiple cars. And then you might notice something and you have to do more homework, go back to the records, call somebody, whatever. So I feel like that's almost a little bit more of a frenzy in order to do the due diligence.
Yeah, you could make that argument, but I think
I just did.
Well, but here, what's going to be at a physical location long before you fly to wherever that may be, whether it's Monterey, California, or Amelia Island, or Miami. Mm-hmm. What's going to be there. So you've already done, a lot of your virtual due diligence prior to, showing up at the auction. When you go to a sale, it's you spend the first day going through cars. I do, at least for clients. And so we make a list, what I find interesting or what I think clients might find interesting. We discuss it. And then we do our due diligence prior to going to the sale. And then, once you're at the sale, you're a captured audience. You have all the cars in one physical location. And so whether or not your experts are there doesn't matter. If I'm there, I can call whoever I need to, yourself for modern GT Porsches. You know them better than anybody else. And so, we'll rely on somebody like you.
Yeah. But it's still a clock is ticking scenario, which I think is the case with all the auctions. And I found it interesting, right? So as we're looking at the online auction space with everybody getting into it, and so far not that many getting out of it yet. I've seen a few go down, but not. I've marked a few saying these are going to fail, and they haven't yet. They're still hanging on.
Which ones do you think are going to fail?
I don't have my list in front of me, and I don't really want to. I don't want to be a Jim Cramer here. Nice try, Dave. But honestly, Stratus, I thought they were going to do better than they did. They had good people. They had good cars. The way they presented them was fantastic. And I think they started strong. They had a good pipeline of really strong cars right out of the gate, which I think any auction house needs. You've got to have a pipeline and a backlog of cars that will sell.
that will sell, being the
That
key
will
word.
sell.
If you want to launch an online
Yes.
auction company,
You can't have reserve not met.
you need to make certain that first lot of cars that you have them pre-sold.
Yeah. In doing my research tonight on auctions, I try to keep track of as many as I can, but there's so many. I noticed that collectingcars.com, which is one of the bigger players in this space, now has classifieds and private sales on their website. And I thought that was a little bit telling of maybe the direction the market is heading, where not everybody wants to buy a car at auction. That platform, that method of buying is certainly not for everybody. There is a cap to how many cars can sell via that type of transaction. And I think Collecting Cars is recognizing that and wanting to grow, but realizing that maybe, you can't grow infinitely within that space. What's your thought on the future of the auction marketplace?
So Collecting Cars is the UK-based exchange, correct?
Yes.
Okay.
They are worldwide, but they're primarily
absolutely.
Europe.
Worldwide, primarily Europe. They're based out of the UK. They sell some cars here in the US. Mm-hmm. Yeah, we bought a car off of Collecting Cars. I would have to venture a guess that, how have none of the other auction companies pivoted to starting online auctions and then moving to a classified model? I think that's, I guess the quick and easy answer is most of them started as a
classified
the other way around first
auction.
and then moved. But yeah, I think, look, I think the way that it sits in 2024, it's very messy. It is impossible to look at every car offered at every single online platform. I do my best also going to Collecting Cars and Bring a Trailer, Peak Car Market, all the other ones, right? Looking at the classifieds, then you have to take into account, all of the physical auctions, and there's many through the various different companies. And so Hammer Price comes in handy to see, well, who's got an auction this weekend, right? Because it's kind of like motorsports. There's a race every weekend and an auction somewhere every weekend. But I think that the fact of the matter is, it remains to be determined. I think some of the big players will absolutely be around. I think that there will be some acquisitions because some of the platforms are doing, we've already seen, Bring a Trailer has been acquired, a number of years ago, right?
Yep, by Hearst.
Yep. Yeah, and then within the past couple of years, Barrett Jackson's been acquired. So I think that there'll be more consolidation once.
Seems to be the general direction of the world in general. I mean, you look at the retail automotive space, there's a ton of consolidation. All of the franchise dealers are owned by dealer groups now, and if they're not, they will be very soon, which is a little bit concerning to me, but that's a whole different political tinfoil hat direction to go down that we're not going to go down because we're talking about cars. But
but Marshall Goldman, I mean, they're in town here. I stopped there earlier today, and I heard just the other day that Marshall Goldman, right, isn't owned by Harlan Goldman any longer.
That was a while ago.
But he was still involved, at least.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, but they got bought out like 7 or 8 years ago, I think.
100% bought out?
No.
Okay.
I think it was 51% buyout.
When I took a lap
but I didn't
there
look
earlier
at the
today,
contracts.
I mean, it was a different Marshall Goldman than it was 5 years ago when I last came. And so I think we'll see more of that. I do, Broad Arrow can't be bought out. That's, it's unless you're going to go buy all of the Haggerty shares that are available. But,
right. But they already got bought out. I mean, it's a perfect example.
RM is another example of they haven't, they were bought out. You can't go buy RM. Sotheby's owns them. And so I think that if you're going to go acquire an auction company today, you're looking at Gooding, Meekum, and Bonhams, are you not?
Yeah. Switch cars.
You could buy switch cars
for a large sum of money.
Okay. Yep. Well, and I think that herein lies the problem, right? Is that most of the time that you're buying an entity like this, you're buying, you can't buy Doug Tabbitt, right? And so I remember
you could. I'm a sellout.
Yeah. I remember a number of years ago, one of my clients said, I think we should go buy Meekum. And the way that our business model works is different. Like, I don't say, that's a great idea, let's go do that. I always say, well, why would you want to buy Mecum? Why would you want to buy a Pagani Huayra, right? We start with a discovery. And so I remember his reasoning for wanting to buy Mecum. And I just told him, I don't think Dave Bentson can out Dana. I don't see that happening. And so, but they're one of the, they've done a marvelous job in remaining private, pivoting, and very profitable, And so, yeah. I'm not picking sides here. I like them all.